All right, find your seats. The doors are sealed. What you're about to hear, what you're about to see, is classified top secret / first light. This is your Orientation 1 briefing. Welcome to the war. Everything you think you know about the things that go bump in the night, it ends right now. You need to pay attention. Your life and the lives of countless civilians literally depends on it. So let's start with the most important question of all. Forget the gothic horror novels, forget the movies, the capes, the bats, all the melodrama. It's just noise. It's a smokescreen they've been using for centuries to hide. The reality, the operational reality, is a parasitic organism that's more lethal, more cunning, and smarter than any story you've ever heard. We don't hunt monsters here. This is clinical, targeted extermination. Today's briefing is broken down into 5 sections. We'll start with threat ID, move to the parasite's anatomy, analyze their factions, cover their known capabilities, and finish with our countermeasures. Absorb every last detail.
Okay, Section 1, Threat Identification. We don't fight ghosts, we fight a quantifiable enemy. An enemy with habits, with needs, and most importantly, with vulnerabilities. Your first job is to wipe the slate clean. Forget the fiction. We're replacing it with hard, actionable intel.
This quote, this is from a high-value hostile we captured during Operation Antigen. And that's not some kind of tough guy act. That's their psychology in a nutshell. They're predators. The act of killing is what keeps them going. It's a biological need, a psychological need. You have to remember that when you're in the field. You can't reason with this. Right. Section 2, the anatomy of the parasite. To know how to kill it, you first have to understand what it is, what it needs, and how it stays hidden. This is the foundation for everything we do. The official Firstlight designation is Blankbody. You will commit that name to memory. It's the only term you'll use in your reports, in your comms, period. So what is it? A reanimated human corpse. It's a parasite, plain and simple. It requires our blood to sustain its existence and to power the unusual abilities we're going to cover in a bit. They are not immortal. They are just undead. Every single Blankbody operates on 3 basic drives. First, nesting. They live among us. They can look like us, they can sound like us, and they blend right into our society. Second, feeding. The need for human blood is non-negotiable. It's constant. It drives every single one of their strategies. And third, secrecy. Their biggest weapon is the fact that the world doesn't believe they exist. And they will kill, they will manipulate, they will burn cities to the ground to protect that secret. But here's the good news. They are not invincible. They have one single, overriding weakness. And this is the one time the folklore actually got it right. Direct exposure to sunlight, specifically UV radiation, causes total, catastrophic biological failure. Their cells literally fly apart. This is our #1 tactical advantage. We own the day. They own the night. You will plan every single operation with that in mind. Moving on. Section 3, Enemy Faction Analysis. Now, it's absolutely critical that you understand we are not fighting some unified, monolithic army. No, they are a fractured species full of internal politics, paranoia, and grudges that are centuries old. And their disunity, well, that's a weapon we can and we will use against them. Our global intel network, Echelon, confirms that there are 2 main factions engaged in a worldwide shadow war against each other. We call them the Ivory Tower and the Anarch Movement. Their methods are different, their goals are different, but the fact that they're fighting creates the cracks we need to slip in and hit them both. So let's break them down. The Ivory Tower, they're the old guard, ancient, obsessed with hierarchy, and they are dug in deep into our institutions. We're talking finance, politics, the media, you name it. They play the long game. We hit them by pulling the plug on the mortal systems they depend on. The Anarchs, on the other hand, they're total chaos. Small, decentralized cells, street gangs. They prefer direct violence, ideological terrorism. They're unpredictable, sure, but that lack of organization is a fatal weakness we can exploit. Now, beyond those 2 big players, you gotta be aware of smaller, independent outfits. We've tracked Blankbodies running in everything from biker gangs, which have almost no digital footprint, to religious cults that give them a huge amount of social cover. These little groups are wild cards, and you need to be adaptable in the field. Never, ever assume you know exactly who or what you're dealing with. All right, on to Section 4, Capabilities. Now listen,
This is not magic. These aren't demonic powers. They are observable, repeatable, anomalous abilities, and they're fueled by the blood they drink. You need to know exactly what you're going to face out there.
First up, mental dominance. They can force their will onto human beings. We've seen intel of them freezing an entire SWAT team just with a look. The vector is usually direct eye contact. Now, this is tactically crucial. In any hot zone, you must assume every single civilian is potentially compromised. Trust no one. And avoid making eye contact with the primary target at all costs.
Second, accelerated motion. Some of these things can move so fast they just look like a blur to the naked eye. Your standard marksmanship training is not going to cut it. That's why we use high-speed sensors, predictive targeting systems, and area-of-effect munitions. You can't hit what you can't track.
Their third key ability is stealth. And I don't just mean hiding well. I mean the ability to literally vanish from sight while you are looking right at them. This makes them the perfect assassins and ambush predators. Constant sensor sweeps and thermal imaging are mandatory protocol. Never assume a room is clear just because you don't see anything. And finally, never underestimate their talent for psychological manipulation. This goes beyond the direct mind control. They are masters of exploiting human weakness, greed, fear, ambition. They build entire networks of willing human servants, sometimes cults, by promising them power or money or whatever they want. And often, these human networks are the first line of defense we have to punch through.
And that brings us to the final section, 5, countermeasures and protocol. We've gone over their strengths. Now we're going to focus on how we break them. Make no mistake, we are not on the defensive in this war. We are the hunters.
Their single greatest psychological weakness is their arrogance, their hubris. They've been running the show from the shadows for so long, they actually believe they're gods walking among mortals. And that makes them predictable. They always underestimate a group of organized, technologically superior human beings. Our entire doctrine is built around punishing that arrogance. And if you want proof, look at Operation Antigen, the cleansing of London. We didn't just rush in, it was a multi-stage operation. We started quiet with surveillance and agent insertion, then we systematically dismantled their control over the city's infrastructure. After that came the targeted strikes on their nests. And finally, a full sweep of the city, top to bottom. It worked. London is a clean city today because of it. The results? In the final phases of Antigen, more than 200 high-value targets. We're talking ancient ones, faction leaders, cell commanders, were either neutralized on-site or forced to flee the city entirely. We shattered their power structure in what they thought was one of their safest strongholds. Our protocols work. So, to summarize, our entire strategy is built on hitting these 4 key vulnerabilities. We pour gasoline on the fire of their internal wars. We attack the human systems, financial, communications, that they need to operate. We threaten to expose them to the world, their greatest fear. And on a tactical level, we use fire and sunlight. Simple tools, brutally effective. This right here, this is your Bible. This is the standard engagement protocol. You will memorize it, you will live it. Step 1, identify. We do not make mistakes. Confirmation has to be 100%. Step 2, isolate. Box them in, cut off their escape routes, and keep civilians out. Step 3, neutralize. This is not about a fair fight. This is about using overwhelming, decisive force. And step 4, sanitize. When we're done, it's like we were never there. No bodies, no shell casings, no digital trail, no questions asked. Look, they've had centuries in the dark to build this shadow empire of theirs. We have one mission, one single purpose: drag them out into the light. The question for every single one of you in this room isn't if you're going to fight. The question is, how are you going to help us burn it all to the ground? That is all. Dismissed.